Sam Thompson stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, adjusting his fitness tracker after his morning run. At 5'7", he'd always been on the shorter side, but years of disciplined exercise had kept him lean and fit well into his late 40s. The morning sun streamed through the window as he heard his daughter Emily's voice from downstairs. "Dad, the pool temperature is perfect. We need to start setting up." He smiled, remembering the countless weekends spent teaching Emily to swim in that same pool. "Be right there, sweetie," he called back, quickly pulling on a fresh t-shirt. Today was Emily's pool party, a gathering she'd been planning for weeks with her college friends. His wife Linda was away at a conference in Phoenix, leaving him in charge of chaperoning. As he headed downstairs, he caught a glimpse of their wedding photo hanging in the hallway. 24 years of marriage, and Linda still called him her teddy bear. The nickname had evolved over the years, from lover before the kids to daddy during Emily's childhood, and now teddy bear. He didn't mind. Linda loved snuggling up to him at night, saying she enjoyed sleeping next to her teddy bear. In the kitchen, Emily was already directing operations like a seasoned event planner. At 17, she was the spitting image of her mother, 5'6" with gentle curves and an infectious smile. Her best friends, Lily and Anna, had stayed over to help with preparations. Lily, a striking African-American athlete standing 5'11", had been inseparable from Emily since 3rd grade. Her light pecan-colored skin and long curly hair turned heads wherever she went. On a track and field scholarship at Florida State, she competed in everything from the 800 to the mile. Back in the day, she used to run with Sam, though she'd long since outpaced him. Anna, Emily's first friend from elementary school, completed their trio. A petite blonde standing just 5'2". She came from old money, but you'd never know it from her down-to-earth personality. The three girls had been like sisters since childhood, and Sam cherished having them all around. "Dad, can you help us move these chairs?" Emily called from the backyard pavilion. The pavilion was Sam's pride and joy, a project he'd largely built himself, complete with an outdoor kitchen. He'd spent the last 2 days getting everything perfect, arranging lounge chairs, cleaning the pool, and manicuring the yard. Emily had inherited her mother's knack for organizing, keeping him busy with an endless to-do list. Though Sam was humble about his achievements, building and running his successful consulting firm had given him quiet confidence. Emily loved bragging about him to her friends, convinced he'd win Best Dad if such a contest existed. As they finished setting up the spread of food and non-alcoholic drinks, Sam surveyed their work with satisfaction. "Okay, ladies, I'm heading BA. CK inside. Let me know if you need anything. Are you sure you don't want to stay out here and eat with us?" Megan asked, another of Emily's close friends who'd just arrived. "Thanks, Megan, but this is your time to enjoy. I'll be in my office if anyone needs me." His office offered a view of the pavilion and part of the pool, but when the girls started taking off their cover-ups to reveal their swimsuits, he moved to the den. Better to watch the Rays lose another game than risk coming across as creepy. The afternoon sun was high in the sky when he heard the first signs of trouble. Shouts and screams erupted from the pool area, different from the playful squeals he'd been hearing all day. Standing to investigate, he saw a large young man grabbing Anna's wrist, trying to drag her away from her friends. The other girls surrounded them, yelling for him to stop. Sam's heart rate spiked as he sprinted outside. "Hey, jerk, let her go." The intruder, easily 6'3" and close to 250 pounds, barely glanced at Sam, continuing to pull a struggling Anna toward the exit. Little Anna, barely 115 pounds soaking wet, was no match for his strength. As Sam got closer, the man shoved Megan out of his way, sending her stumbling into Sam's path. Their collision sent a sharp pain through Sam's nose, but he quickly recovered. Positioning himself between the intruder and the gate leading to the driveway, Sam planted his feet. "Let me go, Nick," Anna cried out, still trying to wrangle free of his grip. "Girls, step back," Sam commanded, his voice carrying an authority that surprised even himself. The young women moved away, though not too far, several already recording the scene on their phones. I said, "Let her go, jerk." Nick, confident in his size advantage, sneered and took a swing at Sam with his free hand. That was his first mistake. Sam ducked the wild punch and delivered a precise strike to Nick's solar plexus. The bigger man's eyes went wide as the air rushed from his lungs. His grip on Anna loosened just enough for her to pull free. Not wasting a moment, Sam followed up with a knee to Nick's groin that brought him to his hands and knees. "Get the hell out of my backyard, jerk." Slowly getting to his feet, Nick's face twisted with rage. "You aren't as big as my old man said you were. I'm going to enjoy smacking you around." The big guy threw another punch, but his movement was so telegraphed that Sam had to wait before reacting. Years of martial arts training had taught him patience. Nick clearly had no real fighting experience beyond schoolyard brawls. As Sam dodged the wide right hook, he positioned his foot behind Nick's leg and shoved hard. Already off balance from the missed punch, Nick went down hard on his back. "Just leave. I don't want to have to hurt you." Several of the girls giggled at the sight of the smaller man, threatening the much larger opponent. The laughter only seemed to enrage Nick further. Or as he scrambled to his feet. "You move pretty well for a teddy bear," Nick taunted. "But that's what my dad calls you, a little teddy bear." Sam's blood ran cold. How did Nick know about that nickname? Nick charged again, throwing a clumsy combination that Sam easily avoided. When Nick overextended with another right hook, Sam stepped inside his guard. The combination Sam delivered to Nick's right side, targeting his kidney and liver, was probably the hardest he'd ever hit anyone. Nick dropped like a stone, taking nearly a minute just to get to his hands and knees. Nobody was giggling anymore as Nick struggled to stand. Sam grabbed one of his hands, twisted it behind his back, and applied enough pressure on his fingers to nearly break them. Once Nick was upright, Sam marched him through the gate and shoved him onto the driveway. Released, Nick moved like an old man, clutching his side. The fight had left him, but his mouth was still running. "You may call your wife your sweetie, but my dad calls her his sweet kitty." Sam's jaw clenched at the implication. "Oh, just because she tells you she's traveling doesn't mean she is. Sometimes they stay in town, so she can enjoy his big tool uninterrupted for a couple of days." "You're right," Sam replied, his voice dangerously calm. "If you want to keep talking smack about my wife, we can step back into the backyard." "Keep yapping, jerk. Anyway, I wouldn't believe you even if you said you had proof." "Well, we'll see about that." Nick turned toward Anna's Lexus and slammed his fist down on the hood, leaving a significant dent. It was only then that Sam registered the shouting from the other girls, their voices rising in anger at Nick's vandalism. As Nick slumped into his BMW and drove away, Sam turned to see several young ladies making very unladylike gestures in his direction. "Come on, ladies, the show is over. Back inside. Also, please don't share that video with anyone yet. Let's talk about it for a few minutes first, okay?" "Dad, your nose is bleeding," Emily said, concern evident in her voice. Before he could respond, Megan took charge. "Make room for Sam on the lounge chair. Emily, go get him a clean shirt. Anna, get him some ice." The next few minutes were a blur of activity as the girls fussed over him. One brought him a drink from the pavilion. Another tried to ease him back to lie down, while the rest chattered excitedly about what they'd just witnessed. When Anna and Emily returned with ice and a fresh shirt, Sam pressed the cold pack to his nose. "Who the hell was that jerk? Who raises a piece of trash like that?" he asked, looking at Anna. "What did he want with you?" Emily stepped in to answer. "That jerk, as you like to call him, is Nick Edwards, the son of Paul Edwards." Sam's stomach dropped. Paul Edwards, Linda's boss. Those earlier accusations just went from some random kid talking trash to maybe something more sinister. He kept his face neutral, not wanting to let his concerns show. Anna spoke up next. "The reason he was after me was because We went out once a couple weeks ago, and when he asked me out again, I declined. I tried to do it nicely, but he wasn't very nice about it. I'm sorry he came here. I'm not sure how he found me, but I'm guessing one of the girls put today's party on social media." She looked around at her friends pleadingly. "Please stop doing that." Then, turning back to Sam, she asked, "Mr. Thompson, how did your nose start bleeding? He never touched you." "I think that was from when Megan fell into me," Sam said, smiling at the tall girl. "When he pushed you, you were so close, and when I tried to catch you, we got tangled up." "I'm so sorry, Dad," Megan said, having called him Dad for several years now. "Don't worry, it wasn't your fault. It doesn't feel broken, just sore." Concerned about the videos, Sam addressed the group. "I know this is asking a lot from all of you, but please don't share any videos of what happened with anyone outside this group. No posting to social media, no emails, no texting to your friends, nothing. Please." "Why, Dad? You didn't do anything wrong," Emily protested. "From the looks of things, you could have really hurt him if you wanted to. First off, I don't want any of those smears about your mother being posted out there. We know they aren't true, but they still wouldn't sound good. At least, he hoped they weren't true. Also, someone with that kind of temper could try to retaliate against Anna, me, or any of us if that video got posted online. Don't you see? He'd be embarrassed and want payback. He still might, but I'd hate for one of you to be leaving a movie theater or college class at night and have him sneak up behind you because he was angry and stupid or drunk." The girls nodded solemnly, understanding the gravity of the situation. Sure, he would be arrested later, but with a temper like that, he could do some permanent damage. "Are you going to call the police?" Emily asked. "I'm afraid so. We don't have to decide about pressing charges right now, but he assaulted Anna and Megan, tried to assault me, damaged Anna's SUV, not to mention trespassing and probably other things. I'll get someone to come out and take our statements. It shouldn't take long. You can still lay out by the pool and have your party." He turned to Anna. "Is your wrist all right?" "Yeah, I think so. He grabbed it pretty hard so it might bruise, but nothing else." Sam nodded, already planning his next moves. The afternoon sun was starting to lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the pool deck. What had started as a simple pool party had turned into something much more complicated. And somewhere in the back of Sam's mind, a nagging doubt had taken root about his wife's business trips. He pushed those thoughts aside for now. There would be time to deal with that later. Right now, he needed to focus on making sure everyone was safe and the proper authorities were notified. But as he watched the girls return to their party, trying to recapture the carefree mood of earlier, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just taken an unexpected turn. Those comments about Linda and Paul kept echoing in his head. How did Nick know about his nickname? What else did he know? And most importantly, what was Sam going to do about it? As the party continued into the evening, Sam watched the girls dance and laugh from his spot in the den. The police had come and gone, taking statements and photographs of Anna's damaged Lexus. The officer had been professional, but couldn't hide his impressed reaction when the girls described how Sam had handled Nick. Several times throughout the afternoon, Sam caught himself checking his phone, hoping to hear from Linda. Finally, a text appeared. "Plane delayed. We'll be home late." He sighed, that seed of doubt growing larger with each passing hour. Nick's words had hit too close to home, revealing details that a stranger shouldn't know. Eventually, Emily approached him with a request. "Dad, would you mind if we stayed here until we go to Anna's? We plan on going out dancing after dinner, but after this afternoon, we prefer to dance here tonight." "It's your house, Emily. You know I don't mind. I love having you here." She hugged him tight, then turned back to her friends. Throughout the evening, several of Emily's friends tried to teach Sam the electric slide. Despite his martial arts prowess, he could never quite get the steps right, which amused everyone, including himself. Around 11, the girls needed to head to Anna's house, which had plenty of bedrooms for everyone. Each young lady gave Sam a warm hug and kiss on the cheek as they left, expressing their gratitude. After they departed, Sam did a quick cleanup outside, dumping the last of the trash into the bins just as he heard the garage door open. Linda was home. He walked out to help her with her bag, and she gave him a big hug and quick kiss on the lips as he approached. "I missed you, baby. How was the party?" "It was interesting. I'll tell you about that in a minute. They just left to go to Anna's for the night." "Oh, I thought they were going out dancing." "They decided to dance here. I'm sure you minded that. Did you?" "Turn off the lights and watch them from inside." The comment irritated him more than it usually would have. "No, Megan pulled me outside with her, and I danced with most of them before they left." "Well, I'll bet you're in quite the mood. If I weren't so wiped out from the cross-country flight and the delays, I'd be happy to take care of you." Sam wasn't really in the mood either. "Let me get your bag inside, and I'll pour you a glass of wine. I have quite the story to tell you." She followed him in, curious about what had happened. Once he returned to the living room, she was sipping her wine, watching him sit across from her rather than beside her. "Oh, this must be serious," she snickered. Sam proceeded to describe what happened, including calling the police, but leaving out Nick's comments about her. She was shocked that someone could be so brazen as to just barge into their backyard and attack sweet Anna. Then Sam revealed the name of the assailant. "His name is Nick. Nick Edwards, Paul's son." Shock and disbelief crossed Linda's face. "No way. I cannot believe he would do that. There must be some mistake." Clearly, Paul forgot to teach him a few things, Sam said, thinking to himself, like manners, respect, how to fight, and when to keep his big trap shut. Linda thought for a second. "Wait a minute. Nick's huge. You mean to tell me that you took him out of the backyard like trash?" She giggled for a moment, then giggled more, and then started laughing. "You're making this up, right? My husband, all 5 feet 7 inches and 175 pounds of you, beat up that tank? He looks like he's almost twice your size." "Okay, what's the joke?" Sam was not amused. Linda saw his disappointed expression and backpedaled. "Oh, come on, Sam. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but be realistic here." Sam stood and said, "Good night, Linda." "Don't pout, sweetie. I don't mean that badly. How else could he take it?" "Don't bother," he replied as she mentioned she'd be up soon. While Linda went into the kitchen to put her glass in the sink, she called to him, but he didn't reply. When she got upstairs to their bedroom, he wasn't there. He was in a guest room. "Sam, what are you doing in here?" "I missed you and was planning on snuggling with my teddy bear tonight." Teddy bear. Now he wondered about the origin of that pet name. Was it a term of endearment or derision? He could blow up over the use of the term right then, but he was emotionally exhausted and wanted a fresh mind to think things through in the morning. "Well, then I guess we'll both be disappointed." He closed the door and locked it. After a few minutes of knocking and pleading, she finally left and went to their bedroom, confused at the turn of events. Her husband must be losing his mind, she thought. She considered texting Emily to find out more, but it was late, and she would see her in the morning. Besides, no way could her husband have done what he said. It wasn't possible. The next morning, Sam knew she would sleep late after the long flight and being on West Coast time for a couple of days. He wondered if she even went on a trip, which irritated him because now he was questioning everything. He snuck into their bedroom and retrieved some clothes for running, then later changed and ate a small breakfast when he heard her beginning to stir. He went for a long run, 7 miles in just under 53 minutes. When he walked in the door, Linda did not look happy. "Mister, we need to talk. I don't think you gave me the whole story last night." He read her and went to the shower. She followed, but once in the bathroom, he locked the door behind him. She beat on the door, but he continued with his shower and shave. Once dressed and feeling refreshed, he prepared to face his wife. He went downstairs to his home office. She was already waiting for him. "Paul called me this morning. I'm not sure I got the entire story last night. Nick had blood in his pee, and had to go to the emergency room yesterday. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, Sam replied dryly. Nick told Paul that he was here just talking to Anna when out of nowhere you came up behind him and hit him in the back with something. They think you bruised a kidney. Paul wants to file charges. Why am I not surprised that the little jerk is lying about the incident? He's probably embarrassed that your little teddy bear threw him out, as you said, like garbage. Paul is very angry. Why did you do that? Why did you attack him? The reason I attacked that poor boy was because he was attacking Anna. You know, the Anna that we love like our own daughter and have for over a decade? The Anna that we took with us, Emily and Megan, to Spain for 2 weeks to celebrate Emily and their high school graduation? That same Anna was being dragged out of our backyard by that disrespectful piece of trash, and I put a stop to it. His voice rose with each word. Are you saying that you believe their story and not your husband? Do you believe I sucker punched him? Linda said, I'm sorry, Sam. No way could you do that face to face. Sam wanted to ask how in hell that kid knew the things he knew. He was furious but had to let it slide for now because all he had were hearsay and suspicions, not enough to accuse Linda without her easily dismissing it. And if true, she'd only be more careful in the future. The whole situation reeked, but if the accusations were true, they were done. So you don't believe that I could do it face to face, mano a mano? No offense, honey. I love you, but Nick is huge. You're in great shape, but you're no match for him. Remember Paris? You were running as fast as you could with that little guy chasing you, trying to get to the car before he caught you. That was after I dealt with the big guy. He was never going to catch me, and I was running because dash. Sam stopped himself. This was pointless. It was clear what she thought of him. Telling her about his battles wouldn't do any good. He could see it was already a lost cause, likely in more ways than one. She continued, Do you have any idea how difficult this is going to make life for me? That surprised Sam. Oh, excuse me. What was I supposed to do? Would you rather I had used a gun? I would like to know what you hit him with. My hands, he replied. I've seen you work out in our basement gym. You go after the bag pretty good, but I don't see how you could have hurt Nick by just hitting him. How could you have gotten a clean shot? Unless you snuck up on him. Thanks for the faith, babe. It's really confidence-inspiring. In case you didn't catch it, that was sarcasm. She rolled her eyes exaggeratedly and groaned. Oh, come on, that's not helping. What do I tell Paul? You tell him that he raised his piece of trash son to be a worthless jerk, apparently just like him, and that Nick needs to apologize to Anna and me. I will not. Nick told him what happened, and it sounds like he didn't do anything wrong. Sam shook his head. You must be delusional if you believe him over your husband. Did Paul give you drugs while you were traveling? Linda's face turned red at that comment, and she was about to reply when they heard a vehicle drive up and honk the horn. Thankful for the reprieve, they stood to see who was there. It was a big Bentley, and out of the vehicle came Emily, Megan, Anna, and her dad, James. All three of the girls ran up and hugged Sam, and then Linda. A moment later, James came up and shook Sam's hand. Sam, I want to thank you for looking after Anna. It means a lot to me that you would do what you did. She's everything to me. I'll be forever grateful. Sam shrugged his shoulders, uncomfortable with the praise. You know we love Anna. No way was I letting that jerk leave with her. Wasn't going to happen. You would have done the same. James nodded his head. Linda spoke up. Girls, would you please explain to me what happened? I'm getting conflicting versions of events from what Nick told his dad and what Sam is telling me. Emily asked, You're getting two different stories, and you don't believe Dad? Well, not exactly. That's not what I'm saying. I'd like to hear from someone else. It all sounds so, I don't know, preposterous. Sam shook his head and went back inside. He wouldn't be there long. While the girls described the whole scene to Linda, Sam was grabbing his laptop and an overnight bag. He needed to get away before he said something he couldn't take back. He needed time to figure out what to do next. When Sam walked back outside, James, Anna, and Megan were gone, and Linda was stunned. How could her husband have done that? Seeing the shock on his wife's face told him how far he had fallen in her eyes. Her focus on how all this affected her and her work, not him, their daughter, or Anna, spoke volumes. Sam asked, "So, what are we going to do about that jerk? Someone needs to teach him some manners." Linda scoffed. "And you think you're going to be the one to do it?" Sam couldn't believe it. She had just heard 3 people corroborate his story, and she still didn't think he was capable of handling that jerk. She must think her husband is some kind of coward. "He's probably pretty pissed," she said. Sam smirked, thinking how Nick was probably still pissing some blood. What she said next killed him. "I don't think you'd be so lucky next time." The look on Sam's face told her she had gone too far. She meant it and was just trying to protect her husband from getting hurt. How could he take on such a big, strong young man directly? She watched as his face morphed from one of complete shock to being filled with fury. "When did you lose all respect for me as a man, Linda? What? You didn't used to treat me this way. You used to have some faith in me. I see that's gone now. You're being ridiculous. My feelings for you haven't changed. I'm proud of you and everything we've done together." "Well, call me skeptical. Did you know that I have CEOs and people from several Fortune 500 companies in my contact app? These people call me and my company when they need help. That's how I make our living. My company may not make as much as Paul's, but my people and I get a hell of a lot of respect within our industry. Apparently a lot more respect than I get at home. These last couple of days have been very educational when it comes to what you think of me." "What does that mean?" "Not for you to worry about. I've made a decision. If that piece of trash, either one of them, him or his father, aren't here tomorrow at 6 p.m. to apologize to me, then James and I will call the police and press charges. He needs to pay for the hood of her SUV also." "You can't be serious. I still have to work with Paul." "Well, maybe you can convince him that he should teach his son some manners and that he should respect others. Clearly, he hasn't learned that from his dad. But I'm sure you know that by now since you have to spend so much time around him." "Sam, this could hurt my job." "Well, Linda, look at what this is doing to us. But it doesn't seem to matter to you. Our marriage is already pretty badly damaged, if not already ruined by this. And if Paul's kid isn't here apologizing, I'll get him charged with criminal trespass, assault, vandalism, and anything else I can think of. I will press charges and see him in court. I don't care if I have to hire an attorney and spend everything I have to get it done. He'll be lucky if he stays out of jail." "This is crazy, Sam. Please don't do this. If he isn't here by tomorrow, I'm staying with James and my brother. I don't know when or if I'll be back." His voice was raised as he turned and left her. She saw him put the bag and laptop in his truck and drive away. Linda stood on the porch for several minutes, wondering how this had happened. She went into the house to get something to drink. She would call Paul and see if she could smooth things over. Sam had left his phone in the den, which was good because he wasn't interested in talking to her right then. He needed to talk to a lawyer. 2 hours later, she was sitting on their bed, red-eyed after talking with Paul. He wasn't interested in being very helpful. He had been ranting about how his precious son would never do anything like what Sam was accusing him of doing. Linda knew better, but she couldn't say anything about it lest she be exposed. She had made her bed and would have to lie in it. The next afternoon, Sam arrived at James's house, his friend anxious to know what was going on. Sam told him about the fight, the argument with Linda, and his ultimatum for Paul's son. James listened and thought about it before saying anything. Anna was in her room, not listening to this conversation, which was a good thing. "Sam, I've known you for over 20 years. I believe you're doing the right thing. But I have to ask you this man to man. What are you going to do if Paul's son doesn't show up?" Sam just looked at him with a mixture of anger and determination. James continued, "You've always had a cool head on your shoulders, and I trust your judgment, but you know that going after Paul and his son could end up hurting you more than them." Sam nodded but didn't say anything. "If you need a place to stay, you're welcome here. We're family. I'll support you no matter what you decide to do." Sam appreciated that. "Thanks, James. I'm going to give them a chance, but if they don't take it, then I'll make them pay. I won't let them get away with this." He stood up. "I need to clear my head. I'm going for a run." James nodded and watched his friend leave. He knew this wasn't going to be easy for Sam, but he also knew that Sam was a man of his word. If he said he was going to do something, he would do it, no matter the cost. The next day at 5:55 p.m., Paul and Nick Edwards pulled into Sam's driveway. Sam was standing outside waiting for them. He didn't say a word as they got out of the car. Nick looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there. Paul looked angry, but Sam didn't care. He was done playing nice. "Sam, I'm here because Linda convinced me that this is the right thing to do," Paul said, his voice tight with barely contained rage. "Nick has something to say." Nick looked at his father and then at Sam. "I'm sorry for what happened yesterday. I shouldn't have come to your house and done what I did. I apologize to you and Anna." Sam nodded but didn't say anything. He was waiting for Paul to speak. "I hope this settles things between us," Paul said stiffly. "It's a start," Sam replied. "But Nick needs to pay for the damage to Anna's SUV." Paul nodded and said, "We'll take care of it." Sam looked at them both and said, "Good. Now, get off my property." Paul and Nick turned and left without another word. Sam watched them drive away and felt a sense of relief. He had won this battle, but he knew the war wasn't over. Sam stood there for a moment, taking in what had just happened. He knew this was just the beginning of reclaiming his life and dignity. He had always been a man of action, and this time would be no different. He walked back into the house, feeling a weight lifted off his shoulders, but also knowing there was still much to address with Linda. Inside, Linda was sitting on the couch, looking anxious and uncertain. She had clearly heard the confrontation outside and was waiting for Sam to come in. He walked over and stood in front of her, his expression hard and unyielding. "Sam, I'm sorry for everything that's happened," Linda started. "I should have believed you from the beginning." Sam didn't respond immediately. He took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "Linda, it's not just about believing me. It's about respect, trust, and what we've built over the years. You've always known what I do and who I am, but when it came down to it, you doubted me." Tears welled up in Linda's eyes. "I know, and I regret it deeply. I was scared, confused, and I didn't know how to handle it. I've always respected you, Sam. Please believe me." He shook his head. "It's too late for that, Linda. Trust is fragile. Once broken, it's incredibly hard to repair, and frankly, I'm not interested in trying to fix something you shattered." Linda wiped her tears, looking desperate. "I understand. I want to make things right. I'll do whatever it takes." Sam leaned in, his voice cold. "We need to address the root of this issue. Why did Nick know those things about us? What's been going on with you and Paul?" Linda's face flushed with embarrassment and guilt. "Sam, there's nothing going on between me and Paul. He's just my boss. We've worked closely on many projects, but that's it. I swear." He raised an eyebrow. "Then how did Nick know about my nickname?" "The things he said, he couldn't have known those things unless someone told him." Linda looked down, avoiding his gaze. "I don't know, Sam. Maybe he overheard something. I really don't know." Sam's frustration boiled over. "Linda, I need honesty here. If we're going to fix this, we need to be completely transparent with each other." She looked up, meeting his eyes. "I'm being honest, Sam. There's nothing between me and Paul. I promise you." He nodded slowly. "All right, but understand this, Linda. If I find out you're lying to me, that will be the end of us. No second chances." Linda nodded. "I understand. I want to be honest with you." Sam stood up, his resolve hardening. "I'm not giving you another chance, Linda. You showed me who you are, and I can't live with that. This marriage is over." Linda looked shocked. "What?" "No, Sam, please. We can work this out." He shook his head. "No, we can't. I'm done. I'll be staying with James for a while. You'll hear from my lawyer about the divorce." Linda started to cry. "Sam, please don't do this." But Sam was already walking away. He grabbed his bag and walked out the door without looking back. For the first time in a long time, he felt free. Sam arrived back at James's house, who was waiting to hear what happened. Sam told him about the confrontation, the apology, and his decision to end the marriage. James listened and nodded, offering his support. "You're doing the right thing, Sam. You deserve better than this." Sam nodded. "Thanks, James. I'm going to make sure Linda and Paul pay for what they've done. I won't let them get away with it." James patted him on the back. "I know you won't, and I'll be here to help you every step of the way." Sam felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was done being betrayed and humiliated. It was time to take control of his life and make those who wronged him pay, and he would do whatever it took to ensure that happened. As he sat in James's guest room that evening, Sam reflected on the events of the past few days. Everything he thought he knew about his life had been turned upside down, but somehow he felt stronger. He had stood up to a bully, protected someone he cared about, and refused to let anyone diminish who he was. The little teddy bear had shown his claws, and there was no going back. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for the first time in years, Sam felt truly alive. He was no longer just someone's husband, someone's teddy bear. He was Sam Thompson, and he was ready to fight for what he believed in. The sun was setting over Tampa Bay, casting long shadows across the water. Sam stood at James's window, watching the colors change in the sky. A new chapter was beginning, and despite the pain and uncertainty, he was ready for it. Sometimes the biggest fights aren't won with fists, but with the courage to stand up for yourself and walk away from what's hurting you. Sam had done both, and he knew the best was yet to come. He pulled out his phone and texted Emily, "I love you, sweetie. No matter what happens, that will never change." Her response came quickly, "Love you too, Dad. Always will." And that, he realized, was all that really mattered. The rest would sort itself out in time. Sam smiled and turned away from the window. Tomorrow was another day, and he was ready for whatever it might bring. No more teddy bear, just Sam Thompson, standing tall at 5'7", but never backing down again.